All right, guys, this is going to be the demo for the disappearing penny. So we're going to start with two 500 milliliter Erlenmeyer flasks. You can see the tubing and the corks behind this, the stoppers. This setup here, this one here, is a clear open tube, so air can move freely between this. So once this is sitting inside of here, air can move in and out of this freely. Okay, the tubing here goes all the way down to the bottom, but is not touching the bottom. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's not touching the bottom. And then this side over here, sorry about the poor camera work. This side here looks to be the same. This tube here obviously is connected to the other one. Okay, and it's connected to the one that goes to the bottom of that tube. And then this here is actually a glass steering rod, so it actually does not go all the way through. Air can't go back and forth here. It is sealed off. So this side is completely sealed and only can get out through this vent tube through this longer tube. So it's got to come through there. But they are connected with each other. So that's the setup. This side over here is going to get this liquid poured into it. So we have, I'll help you out here with your observations a little bit. It's 350 milliliters of a clear, colorless liquid. The inference is probably going to be that it looks like water, which I don't disagree with, but the observation level stuff is it's a clear, colorless liquid. The other one is going to get, sorry about the poor camera work again. The other one is going to get 30 milliliters of what looks like a clear, colorless liquid. If you look at it, it definitely has that clear, colorless liquid to it look as well. So that's going to go into the side over here. Okay, so I added the liquids in there. You can see that the 350 milliliters is in that flask, and if you look closely at the bottom, you can see the liquids in there. So that 30 milliliters only covers the bottom of that one. I'm going to add to the one with the 30 milliliters this penny. It was minted in 1972. I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty dirty and dingy. So I'm going to take that penny and add it to this side here. And as soon as I do that, things start happening. So we can start to make some really good observations of what's happening to that penny there. This side here, stuff is definitely happening. I'll zoom it out here in a second so you can see both at the same time. So we're gonna wanna start to make some observations about what we're seeing. Okay, so the observation column we're filling in. If we have some time, then we would definitely add to the inferences column. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that penny is really nice and shiny right now. I know that it's definitely bubbling. That's a pretty easy observation, but I don't know if you can observe the fact that it's nice and shiny. The liquid, again, I don't know how well you can see the color. The liquid in the bottom of that is definitely green, and obviously the gas or the atmosphere in there is definitely that nice brown color. So I'm gonna move it around again. If you can notice anything here in that tubing, and then down in this flask here, right? This flask here was actually pretty clear to begin with, and is definitely not that way anymore. If we look at the tubing, we sort of see evidence as to why or what is really going on here, right? You can see that tubing, see the bubbling. If I touch this flask it is noticeably warmer than this flask. This one actually feels a little cold to the touch. This one feels a little warm to the touch. It's not hot, but it's warm, definitely warmer. Okay, the penny, still in there, still shiny, still doing its thing. This is probably where you're fast forwarding through some stuff because you're like, it's nothing really different is going on. Again, this side over here, that's the darker flask, is the penny still, you can see it fizzing around in there through the camera pretty good still. The gas in there is pretty dark. The bubbling is changing a little bit. I don't know if you've noticed that so far, but the rate of bubbling has gone down quite a bit. But there's a lot of just kind of, you know, same stuff going on. So I'm gonna stop the video. I'm gonna restart it once things start to change a little bit more. All right, things are starting to change a little bit, so I figured I'd pick this back up. On this side, we can still see the penny in here kind of floating around doing its thing, still doing what it normally does. This side has changed quite a bit, and things are definitely happening here. So I'm just gonna kind of set this down and let you watch what's going on. On the left, if you look really closely, you can see something that's going on, or changing, I guess. And if you don't catch it, that's okay too. But in a little bit here, things are gonna really change quickly. All right, so a lot of things changed really quick there. So make sure you kind of take that all in and write down your stuff. But let's talk about some of the big major changes. Number one change, the penny is no longer in that flask. Okay, notice also that we'll call it the atmosphere, the gas that was in there, there's still some in there, definitely still has that brown color to it, but it definitely is not near as dark as it was. And a lot of people think, well, it just left and went through the tubing out this other side. And it would have had to vent out this side here. And there never was, and you can watch back on the video, there never was a plume of smoke coming out of here at all, ever. Okay? So that is not very likely to happen. Plus, at the time this cleared up is when the liquid from this side here was coming through the tubing to this side here. Okay? So where do you think the gas went then? So that's something to kind of think about. The other thing is the penny was in this side until this liquid came over. The other thing to think about is this liquid was green until this liquid came over. Because I would venture a guess to say that this liquid most people think is water. And think about if I had a green liquid like I did over here and I added water to it, would it truly turn blue, or would it just get a light green or stay green? Okay, why did it turn blue? Okay, that's kind of weird and interesting too. So it's just things to think about. And then again, the penny didn't disappear until this liquid came over. So what causes that to happen? So what you have to do, just to kind of recap the assignment, is all of the things that you saw, you should have at least 15 observations down. If not, just kind of go back and re-look through some of the stuff. You can get some observations. Most of the observations happen right away in the beginning and then again right away at the end. Okay? Then start to think of what do those observations kind of lead me to think. Those are your inferences. For instance, the observation was on this side here that the water was clear and colorless, and the inference generally is in the beginning that it must be water. Okay, so that would be an example of an observation, or really set of observations, and how that led to an inference. Okay, so things like that would be things that I would be looking for, and then when you turn the sheet over, or the second page of it, is where you're starting to try to make some sense of what you're seeing. All right, do the best you can, and we'll talk about that when we see each other again.